So now students, we'll discuss about the next source of short-term finance, which is known as trade credit. As we have done earlier, uh, different types of sources sort of finance. Now we'll do trade credit. So from the very word, it denotes or implies that trade credit means the process of the business enterprise is carried on, but the cash is given on credit. Means every business enterprise does not possesses, every business enterprise at each and every time does not possesses the adequate or sufficient amount of funds. So trade credit is needed for running the business production activities and other activities very smoothly without any without any interruption or stoppage. So trade credit is known as that a credit which is extended or which is passed from one firm to another. So trade credit is the credit which is extended or passed from one firm or one company to another, which results in incidental to sale of goods and services or the purchase of goods and services. So trade credit reflects that the seller the seller provides the buyer the cash so that all the production and the distribution lines of goods and services does not halt. So trade credit refers to that the one business firm will extend the trade credit to the another business firm so as to carry out the production and distribution lines of goods and services. And trade credit also reflects that the buyer and the seller will come together so that the business activities do not stop. Trade credit refers that the seller will extend their help by giving credits to the purchasers so that all the production and distribution lines of the goods and services will go down to the retailer's end, and this trade credit is generally unsecured and does not need any security, and this trade credit arises for a certain time period. Trade credit can be given from ranging from the 15 days to 90 days or 3 months. So this trade credit is generally unsecured, and trade credit does not need any backing up any security. This trade credit also reflects the buyer's power, because if someone does not have the money, so the supplies or the goods and services will not be delivered to that company. But in the case of trade credit, the purchaser or the buyer can get the supplies, can get the goods and services immediately, but they will pay later. And this trade credit also reflects that the seller have huge and immense faith in the buyer, that the buyer will return the money from a range period of 15 days to 90 days or 3 months. So this indicates the purchasing power of the buyer, that the buyer can get the supplies, get the goods delivered, and they will pay later. And it also indicates that the sellers have huge faith in the buyer, and trade credit does not make the available funds in cash. Trade credit is given on the basis of the certain terms and conditions like financial strength of the supplier, goodwill and financial image of the buyer, etc. So now we have discussed the meaning, and I have written down the meaning from year to year. So all of you have to study this. You have to write all the key terms and the relevant points so as to get the allotted marks. So as we have discussed, trade credit is the credit which is extended by one firm or one company to another firm or to another company as incidental to sale of goods or services or the purchase of goods and services. And trade credit also states that the seller gives the trade credit to the purchaser to procure all the goods and services, to continue all the operation and activities of the business that goes down to the retailer. And this trade credit is generally not secured and is that does not need any backing of security. Trade credit period or time stipulated time ranges from 15 days to 90 days, means 3 months. And this trade credit also indicates that the seller's faith in the buyer. Seller have huge faith in the buyer that the buyer will give or repay the money, and the buyer have the power that the goods will be received, the supplies will be received, and the buyer can pay the amount later. And trade credit does not make the available funds in cash. Rather, the trade credit, all the concern who are giving the trade credit in the form of the availability, the financial strength, regarding the financial strength of the suppliers, financial strength of the buyers, the goodwill, image, credit rating, credit stability and worthiness, the frequency of transactions, stiff competition, nature of product, etc. So, as we have discussed all these things, I have written all these things for your convenience, for your sake. Trade credit, which we have discussed earlier, that thing I have written here. Trade credit is the credit extended by one business firm to another as incidental to sale or purchase of goods and services, which we have discussed. It is also known, trade credit also alternative name is mercantile credit. So trade credit may be defined as the credit extended by the sellers, I have stated earlier, sellers to the buyers for all the production process and distribution process of goods and services at all levels of production and distribution process down to retailer. And this trade credit does not involve consumer credit or installment credit, and this trade credit period ranges from 15 days to 3 months, and this is unsecured, and it reflects the buyer's power to get the supplies, to receive the supplies, the goods, and pay back later. And it also indicates the seller faith in the buyer. And trade credit is available in the ordinary course of business, and no security, no backup is required. And trade credit does not make the available funds in cash to the other party or other company concerned. Rather, it makes the trade credit in the terms of financial strength, the goodwill of the buyer, the financial strength, image, reputation of the buyer, rating, credit standing of the buyer, the customs of the trade of the business, financial strength of the supplier, nature of the frequency of transaction, nature of the goods and services. So all of you have to study from the year to year so as to get the whole meaning and the conceptual clarity of it. So all of you students of class 12 commerce, do watch the video very carefully, precisely, properly, minutely and attentively so as to grab and hold the meaning of it, and read the book several times so as to catch the meaning and get the conceptual clarity of it. And one more thing, that your exams are coming, your exams are approaching, so you all need to prepare accordingly. Chapter 1, 2 and 3. So we are on the verge, we have completed the chapter, almost one or two topics is left, and moreover your task is that you have to study accordingly and refer the scope and do update your complete your homework assignment tasks, that is chapter 1, 2 and 3. All the short questions and long question answers should be written at your respective copies, because those copies will be submitted, and do not take it as a complacency, don't be lenient, do complete it beforehand, because your copies will be submitted, evaluated and assessed on that. So don't be complacent, I am asking you, don't be casual, complacent or lenient, so that you all have to deal with the consequences later on. So I am asking once again and again to complete your copy work and do complete your studies, because your exams are coming, knocking at your door, and refer the syllabus. As you all know, your exam comprises of 40 marks. So, and you know the time limit also, that is 1.5 hour, 1 hour 30 minutes. So prepare yourself accordingly, and if any doubt arises pertaining to chapter 1, 2 and 3, feel free to ask. I'll definitely provide you the required assistance.